And good morning, Bears. Welcome to the Big Drum Bear live stream. How is everyone today? We have a little bit of change going on. Things are a little different. And it's oh so good. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy those birds in the intro. I'm glad I put them there. Definitely makes things fun. Yep, it is time to keep on moving and do things bigger and better. And yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek at what's to come here with the show. And here is what you can expect usually to see when you tune in. It's a little more eye-catching, a little more interesting, you know. And over time, we'll jump into all these different little things that are back here. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming. Glad we've got some new faces in here today. Very cool. So yeah, the topic of today, just got the word a little bit after I woke up. Big Bear put a message out before he had to go to work with the Crowdmeister, and he is no longer allowed to live stream because pornography, also known as monkeys doing their business in a David Attenborough documentary that was on YouTube already. How about them apples? Right? Great stuff. He's going to kick its butt. I've no doubt. I'd be surprised if Crowder isn't already offering assistance from his half Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. I suspect that might be the case to some degree. Maybe not. We'll see. But I'm sure that he'll be back, you know. But yes, these are the actual reasons per Big Bear, as I understand it. So that's the joys of getting Wojcicki'd, as we like to say, or at least I do. I don't know if anybody else actually enjoys that. But that's my thing. That's what I like to do, is say that when somebody gets ridiculous treatment on the YouTubes, it's getting Wojcicki'd. It is what it is. So, all right. I am just making sure I have something in place for later, because I very often forget. Wow, we've got all kinds of folks in here. Jace Bang Bang Bear is here again. I haven't seen you for a What Do You Believe? Glad you're here. Thanks for joining the show. This is very cool. Let's see, we've got a couple other new faces that I saw. We got Kodiak in here. We got Glampin. It's roll call time. Andrew J., wonderful to have you, of course. Oh, hang on, I'm losing it. Kodiak is definitely here. Kodiak is definitely in here. Standby one. Hey, what do you believe? I know you. I know you've been around for a while, so you're going to get one. Now, this whole thing may change. I want everybody to know this right now. I'm just going to say this up front. The whole concept of everybody having a wrench in this stream may very well change. It may not be the future, and it's nothing personal against any of you when it does happen. Maybe Pinder, but that's about it. Obviously Dom, everybody knows that. No, we love you both, guys. Just playing. No, we're definitely gonna have to make a few changes going forward. Once we get, say, past, I think, 200 subscribers, I may make a change where I just have a select few that are moderators, because the channel's just gonna, if it gets bigger, then I'm gonna have to have some people help me manage it, keep it from going insane, because I can't do everything on my own as much as I'd like to. And as much as I want everybody to be able to say whatever it is that comes to their mind, there'll be cases, I'm learning as I go forward here, there's going to be cases where that may be counterproductive to everybody else being able to enjoy what we're doing. You know, before it becomes a wrenching, because it'll be a wrenching if it's got to be a wrenching. I'm telling you, mine will be more Soviet than you would care to consider. All right. Let's see. Captain Mike Baloney is here with us. Fellow to See is with us. Steve Pinder, of course. S. Kurz was here, put a message in, but retracted it. Well, whoever you are, if you're still here, welcome. Hope this is a place you would enjoy. Let's see here. We've said Fellow to See. Last Moomin. Feather. Glad to see Feather here. Andrew J. I did say. Shivoham Jimp is also here. We got Inspector Bear in the house. We've got What Do You Believe? Glampin. Jace Bang Bang Bear. Kodiak, obviously. I'm running back through the chat to see who else in here. Let's see. All right, so I'm caught up. That's who's here thus far that I can see. If I've missed you, it's nothing personal. You guys say a prayer. Feather says, for one of my coworkers who recently moved to North Carolina. She stayed during the hurricane. Oh, my goodness. Last I heard from her was 8 p.m. last night. Half her house was underwater. Dear Lord in heaven. Well, Feather, we will say a prayer for your friend. I hope and pray that your friend is well and alive. I think you don't have to go through any loss of friends because we don't need to do that in times like these. We need our friends to stay strong and alive, if at all possible. Oh, man. That's awesome, Bears. Thank you for being willing to do that, too. See, that's one of the things I love about Bears is that you guys are right on that. Super quick. That's excellent. Well, so moving forward, yes. Today is our 50th episode. I'm very, very, very proud to say this. I'm so excited that we get to be here. I've been doing this many live streams now. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that happened, how we got to this point. And it's because of you guys continuing to support it, continuing to enjoy it. I can't be thankful enough. I'm getting a little choked up, right? No, I'm actually just needing to drink more coffee. That's largely what that is. Yeah. No, I'll be bawling my eyes out as soon as the show's over. That's what that is. No, I'm super grateful. Just glad to have Bears around, to be a part of Bears. And let's see here. Sorry, just priming some things that I want to share with you. So water's probably going to be an addition to the show, and I'll keep handy. That's probably not a bad idea on a regular basis, at least so I've been told. But on a more serious note, I'd like to say, let's see here. Yes. Okay. We are going to be getting going. What just happened? We are going to be getting going next week with some interviews. I have it lined up for my musical mentor to join us for the program. Hopefully we'll get this kicking and get him in here without too much of a hassle. Harold Green should be on the show with us, which would be great, coming in from North Carolina. He also had to escape hurricane, so be good to see him. Ryan Melug, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Slow mode chat is just where basically I have it on the least amount of slow mode possible. That means that if you try to put multiple chat messages in, it's supposed to stop you. You're supposed to not be able to do that for at least 10 seconds. So generally that's how it works out. Yeah, thank you. Yes, exactly. You guys got that. I just happened to catch him. That's all that is. But I usually change that. And that's part of the reason why I'm going to unchange that over time. Because the more people we have, the more insane the chat's going to get. So I do want to put some... Yeah, I want to be able to interact with you. So it might have to change so that I can interact with you. And then maybe just a couple people that I deeply, deeply, deeply trust and have built good relationship with might be able to help me mind the herd. No, you guys are not a herd. Mind the I don't know what the term is for a group of bears. It's not a herd, obviously. That's a term for livestock. A big group of bears is called what? Who can tell me? Anybody who knows, you win something. That said, times are difficult these days, so be sure. I wanted to put up a link for it here, but I don't have it up. Feel free, if you guys know the link, and before you put it up, know what I'm going to actually mention is support Big Drum Bear, right? And no, he can't receive super chats right now, but he can, not Big Drum Bear, I'm sorry, Big Bear is who I meant to say. Support Big Bear. Yes, support me, but support Big Bear too. PayPal.me/feedthebear, I believe, is his PayPal. And I know Kodiak, usually has those things at the ready. He's good on that. Plenty of other people are good on that. But yeah, feel free to post a link. You want to see more Big Bear doing his live streams again? We definitely want to put in our support, our show of appreciation. And is this a coup? No, so we want to today, today of all days, if you never usually comment on videos, take yourself about 10-15 seconds and comment on this video and tag Big Bear in it, tag Owen Benjamin in the comment, and let him know how much you appreciate what he's done to sort of bring about this community. I'm very grateful for it. And now I'm to the point where I can put things forward like this guy. For those of you who don't know, this is my dog Chunk. Chunk is a Mastiff Rottweiler. And he's a therapy dog at that. In fact, he's quite a dog. He he is about 90 pounds or so. And his full name is actually Goalie, which is short for Goliath, since he's so big. Goalie Sir Chunk Poley, like Goalie Poley instead of Roly Poly. Get that? See what we did there? Yeah. Goalie Sir Chunk Poley Chubbs Esquire, right? So, Chunk for short. But my dear beloved bear here, Steve Pinder 1911 Bear, used his graphic artist skills and created this logo. It is now on a shirt, which you can get at bonfire.com/don't-c-red-love-chunk. I like to say all those dashes. It's kind of funny. Yes, and to dress him up as Che Guevara, or in this case, Chunk Guevara, is even more of an ironic, humorous thing to do. So show your contempt for communism and your love for Chunk in this hilarious shirt that trolls the idea of communism and a memory of Che Guevara. Yes, and if you want to support snacks for Chunk, feel free to paypal.me at ADRSITBDB. And that's Aaron D. Or, well, you know, most of you know my name, but I probably don't need to go into it. ADRSITBDB. That's me. You're good with that. I'll work with that. That's a good thing. SIT is for steady in time. That's my drumming thing. That's what I do when I teach lessons and I perform as a drummer. So that's what that's about. But ADR is just my initials. That's all we need to know. At any rate, so yes, love Chunk or you're a commie. Also, what is important to share is the man who helped make that Chunk shirt possible. There's a certain gentleman many of you in this community have come to know and love, and he goes by the name of Steve Pinder 1911 Bear. In about a month, he will be resurging his Pinder's Ugly Mug, right? And you can get that through teespring.com. But you can also go and support Pinder's show. He has a great stream, which should be on today around 12 or so, I believe. Could be wrong. So yeah, you want to go ahead and support the Pinder stream. In about a month, look for his ugly mug on his ugly mug. And you too can be on the right side of those who control the weather. You too can begin to grow your jullet, a Jew mullet. And you can also be given the gift of shekels brimming over, which, unless you're Jewish, are worthless to you. But be sure to pick yourself up a Pinder's Ugly Mug as quickly as you can. You may start to enjoy reading Henry Kissinger. It's entirely possible. You probably won't, though, if you're a true Jew when you drink out of that mug. But on the bright side of owning the Pinder's Ugly Mug, I know there's a lot of difficulty that goes along with it. You will enjoy the taste of Manischewitz. It will improve by a factor of 54%. You get that little extra 10% in there. You got to tithe that extra 10 because, you're a Jew. So, Pinder is anyway. So be sure to get that. Pick that up as soon as it becomes available once again. All right. Definitely an important thing. And big thanks to him for designing the Love Chunker Your Kami logo. So today, I would love for people to share in the chat and on other ways. Do it in the comments after this video. You can cut and paste, whatever you got to do. But share a story about Big Bear that really endeared you to him. Something about the Bears community, the Unbearables, and what you're grateful for. I want to definitely send some support that way, and definitely tag him in all the comments. Let him know that I'm grateful. I'm at my 50th show. This guy inspired me to get this started. I mean, I've had other people that sort of encouraged me. I want to see. I never get this angle quite right. There we go. That's what I want. I had a lot of people encourage me to try and get into live streaming or something along these lines, and I think he was sort of the straw that broke the big drum bear's back. So I got in here and started doing these, and now we're at 50, right? And I've got other little side videos and things like that, but it's pretty exciting. Oh, why don't I get in frame there? See, and I'm clearly a professional after 50 episodes. It's gotten intense. So yeah, I'd love to read that, and we'll start doing those in a minute. You want to go ahead and prime some in the chat, saying about a minute or so here. I'd like to start reading some stories from other people. I'm going to share one or two that have impressed me just a little bit. But behind me in the decor, we have this hashtag. Feel free to use this hashtag lots of places. Hashtag let Big Bear stream, right? And if you noticed my intro photo here, it had quite a bit to do with that. It's all about a big bear in a stream, right? Because that's what we do. We bears, we like to stream, many of us. So that's what that's about with the new logo pic. In fact, it's even my new Google profile pic, which I'd set up, and I got several different like shades of it and put them together as an animated GIF file. So that was what I came out with. That's why you might see it flashing at you if you notice my profile pic at times. Trying to make it more interesting. You can now make animated profile pics, and I thought that's fantastic. So what better way to draw people's attention and let them know that, yes, you're a person who talks about things that are important, tries to tell the truth, or at least tries not to lie. And and you talk about how starvation and genocide are always the results of communism and socialism. Steve says to me, I'm bringing challah to the venue tonight, and we'll do a Shabbat with Owen and Nimmer and anyone else who wants to. Dude, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Yes, Shabbat begins at sundown tonight. For those of you that have ever had an interest in observing this day of rest, the biblical day of rest, we are big fans of that. Pinder and myself, we see a value in it. For those Christians that are thinking like, that's the Old Testament. Yes, it is. And it's also in the New, if you've been reading. But it has nothing to do with us inheriting, or I should say earning our salvation. We do it because we have it. You know, those of us that come from a Judeo-Christian perspective and understand it's like a benefit. It's like a good thing, like a positive. We tend to worship on Sundays. The Catholic Church was a large proponent of us doing that. And there was a lot of push to move away from anything that seemed Jewish or Hebraic in the early centuries of the Christian Church, for better, for worse, you know, different reasonings. So I don't hold it against everybody, but that's the way it was. And so now that we have the ability to kind of go back and look at some of that, there's a lot of things that are worthwhile in taking hold of those things. So yeah, we're fans. We're fans of the Shabbat and the Shaloming. Even with all the Jew jokes that I make on here, I worship one. I'm a fan, right? And to bring that point home, I'd like to draw your attention to some of the things that are up here on the board. Stand by one moment. I want my pointing stick. Bear with me as I grab my pointer. Now, see, a professional would have had this ready. All right. So this is actually a martial arts stick for Filipino stick fighting that I picked up in Kuwait years ago. I studied it for a little while. It was actually pretty fun. So give you a look-see. On both the right and left sides, we have these posters, one of which you've seen for a while. The other one, it has to do with famous drum grooves from a lot of old school R&B music. And so I keep that close because it's important to learn about classic drumming and to help make myself better. What you can see up here is a little thing I picked up, I believe, in... Where did I get that from? I want to say it was in South Carolina when I was going to chaplain assistant school. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of the dreams. Some of you may remember that quote from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It seemed relevant. I have a shofar that my wife purchased for me a while back up here. Of course, hashtag Let Big Bear Stream. A little present that was given to me toward the Christmas season by one of my former students, a little drum set ornament, and I'm very grateful for. Down below here, some very important things. This poster I showed before is something that my brother put together for me, my youngest brother, Ian. And he designed this, all these different starships and things that you've ever seen in any of the series of Star Trek. Very, very cool. I dig that. A CD here by my mentor, Harold Green, the Love Album. You can get yours today at haroldgreenmusic.com. That's green with an extra E on the end. And I'll have something else to share with you today about Harold in a little bit. I have here a book by my grandfather, Arthur Perry. It is called Finding God in the Psalms. I think you can still get this on Amazon. It is a worthwhile book to pick up if you are interested in learning a little bit more about the Psalms. He dug in rather intensely to really get a deeper understanding of what they had to say. That is Arthur Perry. Rest in peace. He left us 2010. Great man. Very honored to be his grandson. He was a man of good character, and he understood what was important about how this country was put together. I didn't recognize a lot of those things until after he passed. But I hope to carry on some kind of legacy to pass to my kids and an understanding and importance of what it means to live in this country. It's a big deal. Wow. There are 20 people watching right now. That's huge. Like, I'm immensely grateful, guys. This is amazing. Thank you so much. We're going to keep going here, though. I have a gift that I got from my pastor, Mike Womer. This is a replica of a canopic jar. Or I guess that's what it's called now. Whatever it is, a little jar. Not canop. I don't know if canopic's the right term, but it's got it's a reproduction of one at any rate, and inside it's got a reproduction of one of the scrolls of the book of Isaiah, or a portion of it that was found at the caves of Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. So it is a replica of one of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the book of Isaiah. What's significant about those, for those who don't know, previous to that, like most people have heard of the King James Version of the Bible, right? And it's a pretty important document in the history of English-speaking people. But what was significant about the find of the Dead Sea Scrolls, for those who have not heard about that, about 1947 or so, in that time frame, close to when Israel became a nation again. What's significant about the find of those things is that many of those documents were dated or confirmed somehow to be about 1,000 years older than some of the oldest documents we'd previously had. Most of the documents used, the larger body of text that we call the Textus Receptus, that was utilized to create the King James Version of the Bible. William Tyndale utilized some of these documents in trying to put together his translation of the New Testament, whatever, the Masoretic text. The Masorite scribes were these people that preserved the scriptures around 900 to 1000 AD. And there'd been this tradition of letter for letter, one letter at a time. You make a mistake, you burn the whole page, tradition of preserving the Hebrew scriptures. So the Masoretes faithfully kept that going. But then when the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, there were ones from the Old Testament, like this scroll of Isaiah, that had such a consistency with the Masoretic texts, right? They confirmed that really there'd been almost no change, virtually no significant change of any kind over nearly 1,000-year period. So that was a big deal for being able to trust the historicity of biblical documents. And it's a pretty cool deal. So having a reproduction of a Dead Sea Scroll is pretty neat gift for my pastor. I'm a fan. When he got that when he went to Israel. Let's see here. So right here we have a talit. This is an airman battle dress uniform colored talit or prayer shawl with I guess Orthodox style of all white tzitzit. The tzitzit being the tassels that Hebraic people tend to wear on their belt line. And it's talked about in Numbers chapter 15, verse 38. If you want to learn more about the tassels or the tzitzit, just means to blossom forth. Tzitzit, blossom, blossom, bear fruit. What's bear fruit? Fruit, to bear fruit. It means that your fruit is not just something that you eat, right? That a plant makes. It's anything that is produced by something else. What you produce, what is produced. So the fruit is the produce. It's what you can do something with, right? And also, linguistically, fruit was understood to be your thoughts, your words, your actions, what comes from you, right? What you produce is your fruit, right? So they function the same way, right? Because it's something that's been produced by something else. So it works in that way. So the tzitzit was an example of you blossoming, right? It was you saying that you're going to blossom. And it was kind of your way biblically of identifying with the creator of the universe. Now, one of the instructions about those was that there should be a strand of blue or a ribbon of blue that goes throughout the tzitzit, right? So that's not traditionally done in modern Judaism, at any rate, or anymore, I should say. And there's reasons for that, which I understand. In their traditional understanding, I think I could be wrong about this, but in the rabbinical writings that have been preserved, the tradition that I understand is that there was a certain type of snail whose shell would be ground up to create the dye they would use to make a certain type of blue. And Jewish tradition is to be extremely specific about certain things, which I highly respect. I may not always agree, but I definitely highly respect. So they want to not dishonor God by not using what they think is the appropriate type of blue, which they don't think exists anymore. They don't think that type of snail is even around anymore. They figure they can't make that type of blue, so they don't even bother putting the blue in it anymore. I get it. I understand it. I probably would say, well, I'm going to do the best that I can with what I've got, because that's all I can ever do is the best I can with what I've got instead of not doing it. There may be cases where I would probably acquiesce and say, yeah, okay, I probably can't do that thing that I think would be worthwhile. I'm not in a position to do it. But, yeah, I respect the people who wear just the white tzitzit, and this tali has just white tzitzit, as you can see. So kind of a neat piece there. On top of it is a commentary on the Torah, the books of Moses, by a gentleman named Richard Elliott Friedman. And as you can see, this book has a little bit of wear because I've dug into it. It was also belonging to my grandfather, Arthur Perry, and it has some of his notes and things in it. So I keep this close because I began to put my own notes in it, and I want to pass it on to my kids as they get older. Very important, kind of neat deal to really dig into the scriptures a little bit more deeply, at least the first 5 books, So sorry, I'm going to have to get away from the mic occasionally. It's just going to happen. The last couple things that I have up here, I have my drumming items here. I have some shaker shells and a shaker can. That reminds me of one of my favorite drummers, Billy Ward. That guy really inspired me to think more tonally about the drums, more in terms of the overall sound that I'm creating. How does it serve the song? And so that kind of thinking largely came from Billy's influence. But I also have a pair of my favorite sticks, SD2 Boleros by the Vic Firth Company. Guys, if you want to endorse, probably not with a guy like me. Yeah, big fan of those things. So definitely have those close. Back in the back here, I have a painting by my father, Dana Rademacher, and it's a painting of wolves. And and I've always been impressed by his style. His style is pretty unique, at least in my estimation. See that a little bit more closely. So yeah, that's Dad's style. He's got a neat watercolor approach, and he's been doing it since he was 10. You know, this piece I think is it 17? He made this. He made some different ones for me to put up in my home when I was no, that might have been even further back. I don't know. But anyway, we've had this one for a while. He made some pictures of animals, or he had some sitting around that I could put in the rooms of my kids, and some neat stuff that Dad did there. Always a fan of Dad's artwork. We've got a number of other paintings of his. One in particular that's in our living room that he painted for me right when I went through separation with my ex. It was like that first week after that had gone on, back in like first week of 2012, January 2012. It was a difficult time trying to find my feet, figure out what was going on at that point in time. Life changing dramatically, very rapidly. So, yeah, Dad came from up in the Chicago area. So they were living there, the northwest suburbs at the time, and he came down and he brought me this painting, and it had on it a verse that had been my verse at my Lutheran confirmation when I was a kid. I was raised in Lutheran church and went through the whole confirmation process around what would have been my 8th grade time frame. And that was a pretty memorable time, because somehow I was in the bathroom one day and I got this idea that I was starting to get a little bit of a Bert action, not Kreischer, but the Muppet type. And I'm getting caught on my cord here. I was trying to remove some unibrowishness that was happening in here. I wasn't digging it. So I went trim with a regular shaving razor, right? Trim. Oh, that's too much. Let's try to get the other side. Oh, that's too much on that side. Oh, no, it just didn't even. What am I going to do? And I figured I better just swipe it clean, start fresh. I went for the next 2 months looking like RuPaul. That was not my intent, but that's what I got. Right before both 8th grade graduation and confirmation in the Lutheran Church. That's right. A couple hundred of my relatives coming up to see me confirmed in the Lutheran Church with next to no hair and no eyebrows. It was a wonderful time. Great memories. My parents were beyond mortified. But good memories nonetheless. And I won't forget. I won't forget because of that. So I went ahead and had that. I remember shaking hands with close to 400 people that day. I think it was that many. And I learned about all these different handshakes. Everybody had weird different handshakes. And I just started getting real familiar with that. My hand was crazy sore after all that, trying to keep a firm, solid handshake like I'd been taught with all these different people coming by. Awkward experience, but interesting. I learned something useful, and I haven't forgot it. Let's see here. So, yeah, Dad created this painting of sheep on a slope. It was a wintertime scene, and it had that verse on there. I believe it's, I have to think now, John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, do I give unto you. No, the bro shake and hug was not so much of a thing, and especially not with like older people. It might have been occasionally, but this was back in like 97. So I don't, no, I didn't know anything about the Freemason shake at that point. I didn't know about the bro shake. No, it was just, let me knock my mic around. It was just, typical standard handshake, a little more, older crowd at that point in time that was coming to that. So, yeah, the bro shake was not in vogue at that point in time in 1997. So, yes, I have learned about the Freemason handshake, and I've studied a little bit about Freemasonry. And then when I meet Freemasons or people that I know are, I might slip them a Freemason handshake and just see what they do, just out of curiosity. What are they going to do? How are they going to respond? And some people are like, oh, okay then, and they don't want to say what they know there, but they're like, oh, so have you been to the East? And they'll talk about all these different little, they won't say details, but they'll talk with me like I'm in, like I know. And some of the phrasing, some of the language I do get. It's interesting, I've known people for quite a long time and were part of that. Never wanted to be a part of it. No, I don't know the 33-degree handshake, but I wouldn't want to. I'm not a fan of what Freemasonry is. I'll just put that out there straight up. I'm not against you if you're in it, right? But I would say once you get to be a 33rd degree, you're issued books by a former Confederate general named Albert Pike. And Albert Pike, I still believe he has a library, like an estate library for his family down in Arkansas. And that guy had some views that I would definitely disagree with. He probably had some interesting things to say as well. But yeah, he was a big proponent of black people remaining in slavery. He was a big proponent of them not being admitted to the lodges, right? He think that there should just be a separate lodge for black people if they wanted to come in. But yeah, worth checking into. Morals and Dogma was one of the main books by General Albert Pike, and that is what is given to that is what is given to a 33rd degree Freemason, as I understand it, still when they reach that level. Now, there are two sides to it, and there's many more. There's houses of all types, of blue house, red house. I don't know all the different houses and things that there are, but I do know that at least there's two legs to it, or two sides to it. There's the York Rite and the Scottish Rite. And the Scottish Rite is where you get up to being 33rd degree. I think in the York Rite, you can only go up to 9th degree. But they both have different symbolisms and meanings. It's connected with what's known as divine geometry. There's special knowledge. Then there's a connection to what, in some form or another, what it'd be referred to as Gnosticism, and the belief that our goal here is to attain enlightenment, that our salvation comes through gaining greater knowledge. And I would probably disagree with that as the goal, but I understand those who hold it, So, yeah, that's the little bit that I pretend to know about Freemasonry. I actually know very, very little. Let's see, Pinder has something to say. I remember having to shake a ton of hands at my confirmation. When I learned happened about after 30 handshakes was, there are people in the Catholic Church who are questionable pedophiles. Well, yes. That's likely to be true in any organization, but I'm sure it happens there too. The Golden Circle. That's quite possible. Yes, I don't know more about that. I'd love to find out more at some point. Let me move on to the final item here, and instead of pointing to it, I'll just bring it up. This I've shown before is a picture of my grandfather, Ralph Nanke Rademacher. And of course, I have to have that close because I wouldn't be here without him. I wouldn't be here without his character, without his kind of creative and entrepreneurial spirit. That's part of why I'm live streaming now. It's part of why I teach music and seek to improve the lives of others through not necessarily having a traditional job. Not that I'm opposed to doing so if I need to make money, but I've got that independent spirit, and he certainly did too. He served in World War II in the Pacific Theater. He went over to New Guinea largely, and I don't know if he ever made it to Japan or not, but he was definitely in New Guinea for a while. He was a medic, but he was used as an electrician to sort of set up the electrics for a hospital that they built over there. Interesting guy, came back to the States, grew up around farming. That was the tradition in the little small town of Emden where my family settled when they came over from Germany. And he did farming for a time, but he knew that wasn't the life for him. Excuse me. So for a while, they tried to do a homestead of some kind out in Arkansas. Oh, excuse me. And that was for about a year. But I think he had other intentions. He'd been learning more and more about it for a while. So he and my grandmother opened a Dairy Queen in New Braunfels, Texas. And they operated that for about 12 years. My dad talked many times about helping to run the Dairy Queen. My three aunts also have talked about that. My Aunt Rilla, my Aunt Nyla, my Aunt Sylvia, all three. I know that's not the right order, but it's still a good order. They're good folks. At least I remember them, right? Remember the names. Just got to see my Aunt Nyla for the first time in years just recently. So that was a really good experience. And my wonderful Aunt Sylvia and her husband, my Uncle Alan, they've been a real good help to me over the last several years. Good to be well connected with those folks. And by the way, if you're ever in Illinois, look for Clock and Gay Farms and get yourself some beef. Buy some beef from those folks. They have amazing beef cattle if you're into it. They raise some good cattle, and it's fantastically tasty. Got to dig into it. It's good stuff. Yeah, so Clock and Gay, that's the way to go. Yeah, so my grandfather owned and operated a Dairy Queen back in the 50s and 60s. I think mostly in the 60s it was. Interesting times. Yeah, my dad always recounts whenever we have gone to a Dairy Queen, he always wants a chocolate malt. And that's his thing. He was all about the malts. I missed entirely what you said. Entirely what you said, Steve. Missed that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and check that one out because I don't know what was going on with that at all. So yeah, one of the few pictures I have of him when he was close to my age now, and so I keep that around to remember. I'm just gonna hold it here all day, right? So that is the meaning behind the backdrop that you see before you. May that change at some point? Yes, entirely possible as we grow, but certain elements will stay the same. And I've been able to engage my mind a little bit more as to how to make this a more engaging and interesting show for all of you because of Big Bear's example. And that's why we're here today. The Unbearables came together because fans of the Big Bear came together to show support. I'm going to show my support as an Air Force, a proud Air Force mom for what Big Bear has done. I think one of the first times I saw Big Bear was on the Steven Crowder show. And he was wearing that big red sweat jacket. And it was like sometime last year. And he had said, oh, yeah, happy belated birthday, Kick ya. Yeah, absolutely. I just noticed somebody saying that. That's correct. Definitely wish Kick ya a happy belated birthday because she deserves it. She needs to be told. Okay, so bear with me. I missed something in the chat and I wanted to go see it. My computer is slow today, so it's going to take a moment. Let's see now. Inspector Bear says, "All hail the Spider Queen." I don't know what that was about. Okay, so that's further than I meant to go. So, yeah, one day we'll get a Not Gay Jared something or other thingamabob in here to help me do all this without having to sort of put the brakes on. Yeah, thanks for putting links in to support Owen, guys who've done that. Boy, I went way far back. Tell you what, I'm just going to read that later because there's no hope. Honky Bear. Honky Bear. Yeah. You mean Justin Trudeau fell down? Is that what you're saying? Justin Trudeau fell flat on his face walking down the street? That's what happened today? Who is Owen? The heck is all that? F out of here, man. Eric Nimmer joining us. Glad to see that. Yeah, who is this guy? Today we're talking a little bit about that. Some weirdo who I guess most of us have heard about a little bit, and he kind of got banned from YouTube live streaming because he showed pornography, which was actually a couple of monkeys from a David Attenborough documentary, and it was 2 years ago, and somehow that's grounds for him. Yeah, the porn guy. That's who. The monkey porn guy, right? We all knew he was into some form of bestiality, and so sooner or later it was going to come back to bite him in the butt. But it's a sad thing to see. It's really sad. So today we're talking about showing our support for the Big Bear because this is my 50th live streams, Eric, if you hadn't heard. So we're grateful, a lot of us in the community, to having been the catalyst to get this going, and I guess pushing us that little bit further to stand up and say communism, socialism ends in starvation and genocide, and have fun about that. Say the truth. Oh man. Yeah, that's what that was exactly. Well sought. sawn. I don't know. At any rate, hashtag let Big Bear rather stream. Let Big Bear stream, because that's what needs to happen. He should definitely be back. This is ridiculous. And we'll stand up and say it. He got Wojcicki'd, and that's unacceptable in our minds. But what we're going to do today, feel free to type it into the chat. If you've done it already, I may have missed it. Feel free to type it again. A story you have about... Nimmer's trying to get the Nike check. That's great, man. That's great. I wouldn't, I think it's probably a little sweaty, that shop it came from. It's probably not worth your time, but, at any rate, feel free to share your stories, about Big Bear here in the chat. I'll be glad to read some of them and put them in the comments after the video. One of the first things I remember seeing of Big Bear, was, like I said, on Crowder. And then I came out and checked out the Why Didn't They Laugh podcast. And I started learning a little bit more about some of these really cool videos that he'd put together. One of my favorites, which has come up a few times, is this woman heckling him at a show. And he put together this whole elaborate thing talking about words and the power of certain words, people's favorite words. And some girl talks about her favorite word being pistachio, I thought that was very interesting. It keeps going back to his mom, and his mom saying you need to just bake bread. Say Kick Ya here has something to say. Your racist friend turned into your socialist friend. Yes. This is where the food ends, and I can't stand here listening to you and your socialist friend. Yes. So Kick Ya rewrote the lyrics to that They Might Be Giants song. And I'm going to try and get a version of that up maybe sometime next week. I need to sit and work with it for longer, but she wrote some brilliant lyrics to that and rewrote it as your socialist friend. So yeah, I want to see that come to fruition. Kika, you're a genius. I love what you put out there. That's good stuff. But yeah, always good to see people getting inspired by that willingness of somebody else to stand up and say, no, socialism is stupid. It's bad. And it's not only an opinion, it's proven. Like, there's evidence. People have been through it. It's bad every time. Not even a long time ago, only like less than 100 years ago. Gulag Archipelago, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. By the way, go look up the book if you haven't read it. And I just saw a bit of this last night. I have to finish it. He gave a speech at Harvard a few decades ago. He gave an address at Harvard in Russian, and it was translated on the spot. And people were receiving that because they recognized this is horrific stuff. So yeah, go check out seeing Solzhenitsyn speak at Harvard. Look for that on YouTube before that's gone, before it gets Wojcicki'd. Yeah, so we know it's not a good idea. It's like not good at all. Unless you enjoy starving, which some people do. If you're a leftist and you have a fitness program, it might include starving yourself because you like starvation and genocide. So, yeah, we now have that example given to us for a while. We've learned better how to articulate what it is that we know to be true, and we're slowly developing the willingness to stand up and say it, and hopefully in ways that are creative and interesting and sometimes funny, sometimes very sad, sometimes disturbed, right? But we're willing to say it. Yeah, he doesn't need to stream right now. He's busy. He's busy touring, right? Anorexia is communist. Yes, Bang Bang Bear. That's right. You guys are killing me. See, yeah, Captain Maloney says, I just kept seeing Owen on Gavin's show. One day I checked his stand-up and was an instant fan. See, I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. That's great. You know, everybody's got a unique story, I'm sure, about how they came to learn about Big Bear. And I think some of my absolute favorite, really getting to understand him better, was the Colton Wade series of skits. Excuse me. The Colton Wade series of skits on Louder with Crowder. They never ceased to be flippin' hilarious. Was dying every time I watch those. In fact, there's a compilation of every single Colton Wade bit on Crowder's channel. Go look that up and watch it. And I dare you not to laugh at some point. I dare you not to laugh at least once, right? Impossible to be having a horrible day and then go watch that and not have your mood changed. And Owen plays a significant part in a number of those. First live stream was around, this Feather says this, around Happy Birthday Jordan Peterson. Parodied Carry On My Wayward Son, got lobsters reading Carl Jung. That was so good. And I'm a Kansas fan, so I appreciated that. Axe Bear John says, he said trans kids don't exist. And I was like, oh, yeah. This motherfucker doesn't even know the world he just stumbled into. Yes, I do hesitate to throw out the profanity, but that's just because I'm trying to do that for my own sake and for my kids. Otherwise, I just do it, right? Trust me, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Let's see here. A lot of trolls there. Yeah, so I curtail my own speech by choice, and it's for a worthwhile reason. That's what that's about, not because I'm afraid. No, you're fine, man. You're welcome to do it. That's the thing. Anybody can say whatever the heck they want to in the chat. I'm totally open to that. However, if it does get out of hand, if it gets to be like preventing other people from saying what they're trying to say, if it gets cumbersome and too distracting, then yeah, I'm probably going to have to go wrenching city on you. Get my wrenching cane, right? Bop you on the head. Hey, later Flip, whoever Flip is, glad you could be here. Oh man. Okay. So the respect, I didn't get that at first. I didn't understand what that was about. I just thought he was misspelling it for some reason. And then I saw it written out, after I watched that video, Leftist Fitness, episode 3, and I died laughing. That killed me, man. I didn't see it at first. That was so funny. Let's see. Inspector Bear has some thoughts. Always liked his stand-up, but saw a set he did in Burlington, Vermont, and basically gave the finger to all the Bernie supporters. It was hysterical. Checked out his live stream. After that, became a bear. See, this is what's up. This is what it's all about. Sharing the Baron, right? I don't know who follows him on Instagram. I certainly do. And I've been backtracking through some of the things I've missed over the last couple months or so. And the Nike memes have been killing me. Oh, Ryan. Yeah, I forgot to wrench you, dude. Yeah, I meant to wrench you because everybody has a wrench in my stream, at least for now. Yeah, yours stands out because you're the only non-wrench thus far, but that the times they are changing, and maybe because my computer's getting really slow. Add mod. Ryan, you are now a moderator, but that's meaningless in my stream because everybody's a moderator. Yes. Let's see. Bring out the shusher. Laugh at the non-wrench. Yes, that's awesome. No, you're fine. Everybody has one, so it's only appropriate. Now that I've given it to you, I may take it away in a short amount of time, depending upon how fast this grows. So you sort of have an incentive to keep your wrench and keep my show small, right? I kind of screwed myself on that one. If you want to keep a wrench, if you want to be sure that you're going to keep a wrench, then you probably have to ensure that my stream stays small and that I don't end up with more subscribers. Because that's the only way for you to keep your wrench forever, for sure, right? But if you really want this stream to grow, then you'll be willing to sacrifice your wrench if you're not one of those chosen few, or you just be a big supporter of the show, and then you're guaranteed, right? It'll be basically wrench socialism if this show doesn't grow, right? But if you don't want socialism, if you want like a macro or a micro version of that whole thing and to grow out of it, let's introduce free market capitalism. You get a wrench based on how well this stream does. As it grows, it's going to be select few. If you want to be one of the select few, you make yourself of great value to seeing this thing grow, right? Pretty simple. Wrenching will commence at about 200 subs, I believe. That's my goal. Get to the 200 mark. Once you hit 200, And I'm thinking more so it's like when we get to 100 plus watching, when we get to a point, and that could be 1,000 subs, honestly. So maybe I'll just say it's 1,000 subs. When I've got over 100 people watching or more, then I'm definitely going to need a mod or two or five to help me keep that in check so that I'm not totally distracted and then I can provide the best possible shows. Right now, they're spur of the moment. They're more, what's the word I'm looking for? Off the cuff. And I want to maintain that organic quality to it. But I also want to have a show map. I want to have things that are put forward with a little bit more cohesiveness, greater entertainment value for you, greater educational value for you, where we have days where we're specifically getting into musical topics. We're going to start having interviews, right? Harold Green live on the show next Monday. That is the goal. Just got to work out some technicals, but it looks like it's going to work. My beautiful lady bear and I, last night, we set up a stream between her phone and this computer, and we worked. We got it working. So that should happen. Also, skits and commercial bits and things like that, they're going to start airing. Chunk and I had a talk today about getting him on here to do a commercial bit for his shirt. And those of you that don't know, that haven't heard about what I'm talking about, get yours now from... Wait, where'd it go? Oh, that's not right. Hang the phone on here, because I'm not pleased with what I see. I am now being told that what I thought was here is not here. And it is here. It's right there. What's going on? What is this jazz? I wanted to share something with you, and then it was not there. And I know that isn't right. So I'll take this one because it's capturing the wrong image. So yeah, little by little, we'll learn how to use this. All right. That's what we want. On sale now, only $21.99 for your wearing pleasure in a variety of wearable colors is this grand design that has been put together by our own Steve Pinder, the Love Chunk or your Kami shirt. You can get it on bonfire.com/love-chunk- or excuse me, it's bonfire.com/don't-she-red-love-chunk. Get it today, $21.99. And we only need a few more sold, and we will be at that mark that we need to be at to make them made. They're very, very, very close. It's a good thing. I'm a fan. You should be too. In about a month from now, the man who created that wonderful design, Steve Pinder, will be again putting out his Pinder's Ugly Mug. Be sure to get yours through teespring.com when he has it up and available again. And then your shekel hoarding pleasure can be engaged at full force. You too can be a bearer of jullets. You too can, I don't know. I've got to think up some new Jew jokes. I've been doing the same ones for a while. It's getting a little, I don't know, old in my view, but not the Jew jokes. I love Jew jokes. They're hilarious. But, you know, we need to get some fresh material in here. Expert John, you rock, dude. I appreciate things like that. Like, share, subscribe, comment, share your stories, and tag Owen at Owen Benjamin in your comments to let him know how much you support him, that you want to see him ride through this whole thing. Just remind him, you know, to talk to Crowder and get the half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond on the case because he's experienced at dealing with Wojcicki-ism and knocking it out the park. Don't blow chunks. That's great, Steve. That's awesome. Yeah, man, it's going to get more and more intense around here. It's going to get interesting. We're going to talk about all the things you love. Music. Well, that's what all the things I love, I guess. Music, biblical matters, right? We got a little bit of that today. We got some background on the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is always interesting. Family, being a dad and a husband, very important stuff. Talk about funny things. I'm going to learn better about what it means to be funny because I like humor and I'd like to get better at humor and incorporating it into the music that I do and into my everyday life, using it to Basically, the way Phyllis Diller talked about it, or at least Crowder says that often, that it was Phyllis Diller who said this. I don't know who actually originally had the quote, but comedy is a rubber-tipped sword. It's a way to make a point without drawing blood. And as long as we're using our words, we're not using our swords, right? That's what we want to stay doing as long as is humanly possible. Using our words, the power of the logos, use that, right, to win hearts and minds, to sanity, right? That's an important thing. And we do it by making sure we stay sane through the process, right? We have to maintain our own sanity as we're going forward, because we're going to have plenty of opportunities to not want to maintain sanity. Yes, sheath your sword, but have it right there that you could use it. That's a Petersonism, so to speak. And he says it's meekness, and he's right. I saw somebody else say something about this when he talked about meekness, right? He said, I don't think the definition of meekness is like obviously the definition of meekness. I'm like, no. Like the biblical definition even of meekness that he's referring to in some of his lectures is the definition he talks about. So often when we talk about certain words, say from a biblical context that get used or thrown around, we tend to imbue our own understanding of the meaning of those words, our current usage of some of those words. Musashi, I used to play that game. What's all that about? I got to find out about that later. Let's see here. Sidetracked. The biblical definition of meekness. I looked it up. I went back. See, I have a few reference materials when I dig into ancient Hebrew. I don't just go to a Strong's Concordance, but I get out my Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible by Jeff Benner. That's an important one. And then also my Etymological Dictionary of Biblical Hebrew based on the commentaries of Samson Raphael Hirsch, and it was compiled by Mattityahu Clark. This is great for digging into the deeper meaning of the verbal roots that all these words come from, and having more of a practical understanding of how the word is used. So the terms for meekness, and I should have had those handy with me today. Maybe I'll have to do that by Monday. The term for meekness that's used both in the Old Testament and the New Testament, the Greek and the Hebrew, they are terms that deal with having the ability to act, having power, and yet not using it. It does have to do with that. To be restrained, right? To practice restraint. But you can't practice restraint unless you have something to restrain, right? Restraint means that you have something you could do, but you don't, right? And everybody knows it. Speak softly, but carry a big stick, right? That's meekness. That's what that should be. And the meek shall inherit the earth, right? Those that are willing to think before using force, right? That is what is being talked about there. We need meekness now. We need to use our words. We need to unsheath our verbal sword a little bit, right? So that we don't have to ever unsheath a physical sword if at all possible. Yet be ready to always be standing ready to stand up and defend ourselves and others, right? That's what it's about. Yeah, Jace Bang Bang Bear, you were making me think of an old PlayStation game called Brave Fencer Musashi, and it was probably referencing Miyamoto Musashi, who you're talking about. That's interesting. My brother was all into PlayStation games and RPGs and things, and that was one of the few that I actually thought was cool when I was a kid. Never was into the RPGs much. That and Chrono Trigger I thought were kind of cool stuff. Hey, you get a Chrono Trigger reference on a show like this? What? You wouldn't gather that from what you've heard thus far, right? But, yeah, so I am also going to bring out my interest in canoeing. I'm going to bring out my interest in, like I said before, music, fatherhood, husbandhood, biblical stuff, as I've obviously talked about. Dogs. Can't get away from dogs, right? I'm serious. I can't get away from them. They're every flipping where in this house. But we'll be discussing those kind of things. And I also have a deep and abiding interest in travel And at some point in the future, one of my desires for this show is to go and meet you bears. Like, come and do a live stream with one of you bears where you're at, right? When I get to a point where we can do that. When we get over 1,000, maybe 2,000 subs, maybe I can travel. Maybe I can go and find you bears, and we'll do a live stream together. Like, I'll have people come here. I'll do interviews online, but I want to go and see people. I want to go travel. I want to go play music out and about, right? So as I'm working to continue to build my basis of creative materials that I can then share and do live publicly stuff like that, I'll go around and find you guys, look for venues, and we'll get out there and make the Big Drum Bear thing great, grand, and wonderful. And it should be good times. Always loving it. Who knows what's possible? Who knows what's possible? I've got all kinds of visions for the future with this, but it comes down to you guys. Is the content here something that you can support, right? And if you're supporting it just by liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting, that's great. I'm grateful for that. If nothing else, you do that, it grows. Thank you, right? If you're a person that's in a position, right? Don't put yourself out to do it. Don't injure yourself to do it. But if you're in a position to support this financially, right? Great. Do it. We love it. Thank you. And those of you that already have, you bought your chunk shirts, you've gotten something and we've gotten something. That's fair exchange. That's free market. Love that stuff. That's sticking it to communism right there. By engaging in the free market, you're putting your money where your mouth is, quite literally, right? Well, actually, no, to do that quite literally, you would probably stick it in your mouth, which I wouldn't actually recommend. I had a Sunday school teacher when I was 5, and anytime a kid took their Sunday school offering or their quarter or their pennies, whatever they brought, and they thought, I'm going to put this in my mouth, she would tell us the story of where money likely has been, and that it's probably been on the ground, it's probably touched dog feces at some point, and you just put those germs in your mouth. So think about that before you put your money in your mouth. Mrs. Rush, she was a great Sunday school teacher to me when I was a little kid, and I'm super grateful for that influence. I won't ever forget that story as long as I live. 30 years later, I still remember that. Hey, let's see here. I'm about to say thank you to somebody. Looks like somebody just supported that. I won't dox you and put your real name out if you don't want me to, but starts with a T. I just got that message. So whoever you are, I'll just call you by your YouTube name if you would prefer. That is no problem to me. But yeah, thank you very, very much. I deeply appreciate your contribution to what we're about. And Kika does. She puts her money where her mouth is every time she drinks from her Pinder mug. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to doing the same when they come back around, because that's just going to be so good. The coffee's going to taste better. You know, I mean, it's one thing to be a proud Air Force mom, right? You can do that, but can you drink from a Pinder's ugly mug and allow your gelate to shine, right? Get some gelate sheen, you know, and rub that in. I think it's largely made from Manischewitz and challah ground up together. That would be mullet or gelatine. So, yeah, I like that. I like the gelatine thing. I'm gonna have to work on that one. That's hilarious. Inspector, killing me, dude. Yes, that's essentially what she said. Don't put in your mouth. It's not good. But at any rate, so we are going to step out now, and I'm going to leave you guys free to leave your comments while you can, those that are left. Can't believe this. We still got 15 in here. This is fantastic. Armenian is? Cool. Feather, you're killing me, man. Honky, you rock, dude. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Love you guys. It's so cool. They're going to get made now. I think we're up to 5. So it was a minimum 5 sold and they'll get made, right? But now it's just, hey, support Big Drum Bear, right? You buy it, you're going to get it, right? The first 5 we're taking a risk, right? It's like, I don't know whether I get it or not. Actually, I should say the first 4, because the 5th one, that guarantees you're going to get it, right? But from now on out, there's no risk. You're going to get the shirt, right? You put it in. Actually, there was no risk at all for you guys. Like, you kind of saying, either I'll pay for it, I won't. From now on, you buy a shirt, you're paying for it for sure. It's going to be made and it's going to get sent to you. And this show gets bigger and better. So awesome. Love it. make sure you find some way to let Big Bear know that you appreciate him. Liberty Snake, you're great, man. Yeah, thanks so much for coming out here. Thanks for sharing, liking, subscribing, commenting, all of that stuff that you do that makes this grow, for the ideas that you gave me yesterday to help this thing grow. And we're going to continue to rock on as bears. We're going to continue to stand against socialism. We're going to not be commies, because as we all know, it ends in starvation and genocide. Hey, Vet, good to see you in here, brother. It's a fantastic thing. I can't believe I'm a part of it. So thanks for 50 episodes, guys. Thanks for bringing this far, and looking forward to the next 50 and beyond. To infinity, and yes, we know that seemed appropriate, but not really. It'd be great to get actually a clip of Tim Allen, who is probably a guy we would like to have clips of hanging in here. Boy, that'd be fun to meet that guy, right? Yeah, that's a thing too. Tell me who you'd like to see on this show. People that you think it would be so great to see interviews from on this show. That's something I want you to leave. Leave your comment for Big Bear. Tag Big Bear at Owen Benjamin in the comments when you leave a comment about how you came to find out about him and how you're thankful for the unbearables. But also feel free to shoot me a message in the message about people you'd like to see in interviews, right? Send it bigdrumbear@gmail.com, or send me a message over YouTube, or send a message in the Hangouts. Whatever you do, send me a message about who you'd love to see me interview one of these days, and we'll see what it takes to make it happen. All right, Bears. Engage your mind, engage your body, engage your heart, and seek to serve the ultimate purpose. # let Big Bears dream. Peace, Bears.